Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Record Breakers. I am Petey Rave, and I'm back here in the proper place in my wicker chair. Here with y'all, and here with me is my team, my friends, the fellas. We've got none other than Brett.
Money in the bank.
Mm-hmm. We've got Drew.
Brap.
And we've got Patrick.
I noticed a distinct lack of throw pillows in this setup, Petey.
Yeah, no. There's one throw pillow way over there that I'm not going to grab. That's supposed to be a loaf of.
You done throwed that pillow. It's over there.
It's a loaf of toast with a mustache and a pat of butter on its forehead. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I like toast.
Mm-hmm. Toast.
Toast. Sorry.
Yeah. Toast.
Haywood Banks makes an appearance on Record Breakers. Wouldn't have thought that would happen.
Yeah.
All right.
Go through and dial that toast back a little, but it's worth it.
Yes. That being said, we're here to talk about music. That's what we do. That's what we make our thing. The provider of the music this week is none other than Patrick. Patrick, what do you got for us this week?
So it's the tail end of summer, and I just brought the album I've been listening to all summer, Best Coast, and their new album, California Nights. Well, newish. I guess it's like 4 months old now, but that's new for music.
Mm-hmm. I gotta ask out. Brett, what expectations did you have coming into this album?
I was unfamiliar with Best Coast. I sort of saw it forever. I'm an RDO subscriber, so Best Coast hangs out with all the other, modern, West Coast hipster bullshit that hangs out on RDO's suggested music forever. But I never took a dive into that. I am glad that I have, because I have things to say.
You have things to say. You have thoughts. Drew, what expectations did you have coming into this album?
Well, as Brett said, he's seen the name, so he sort of got the idea that they hung out in the hipstery, indie rock, as it were. And that's about all he knew. Suffice it to say, I knew way less. I knew their name was Best Coast. I knew there was two people in this band, and then I turned it on, and that was about all I got.
Yeah, that's yeah. Patrick, how would you describe the themes on them and elements that make up this record?
Best Coast, they're a little rock duo. It's very guitar, I wouldn't call it guitar heavy, because the guitars are actually fairly simple. It's poppy rock, indie rock, but it's fun. It's got a little bit of a surf rock 60s girl group sort of vibe at times. Jangly guitars, which are fun. And it's a little touch of the residual Southern California pop punk of the 90s. It's female fronted. She sings and writes and plays guitar, and I just don't think there's enough of that in the world. And it just, to me, the album sounds like the kind of thing you listen to driving with the windows down on a hot summer night. It just sounds like summer to me. So I figured it was the last gasp of summer. We needed to listen to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very, very, very modern summer sound. In a way. Brett, what would be the themes and elements that caught your attention?
The album cracks open from the get-go. You hear the vocal layerings and the reverb, along with the twang guitar. If I was to guess from the Google image search I did before this, it's a Telecaster, and it's all doused in a big old barrel of reverb. It's kind of got that feeling that it was, recorded in a vat of honey. The album, like the ones of the Fears, seem to recreate the sound of recording inside of a parking garage. that we're not actually in a studio, but we really are. We just have really, really good gear, reverb. And lyrically, it had a lot of things that lead me to, be targeted towards youths or the disenfranchised youngs of the world. It didn't move me, but I'm a grumpy old fart. And not a lot of stuff does. But otherwise, there's a lot of tight beats. The tone of the guitar, while being slapped back and reverby as shit, is done to effect, and the vocals are they're layered and done in post, but they're harmonized very, very well. What they tried to get across musically, I believe, is what product we got. I don't think there was anything that was left that they didn't try to do, because this album was very, very well produced.
Yes, very well produced indeed. Drew, what would be the themes and elements that caught your attention?
Brett's right. It did sound very deliberate. The sounds that they were going for, I will echo that sentiment. But overall, to me, it felt really sort of like Two Minds, right? Like, to me, this was the newest album we've ever done. I think this was the most recent up to like recording. Like, there wasn't a lot of time. Huh?
Yeah.
Slater-Kinney would be the other new album we did. We did that.
When did that come out versus when we did the recording? I think
there was less than a month.
Less than a month? Okay.
I literally did it, I think, my first pick after it came out.
Okay. So this was okay. It's one of the newest albums we've had. But it feels to me removed from like what's going on within even the indie rock scene now. It still does that lo-fi thing that indie rock loves to do. The rare garage band, even though we're not a garage band, the thing I don't quite understand. But as long as it's not too heavy-handed and it doesn't sound like a giant wall of like a ball of noise, then I'm okay with it. You've still got to have some good tone to it, and you've got to be able to be catchy and still sound good. You can't be so lo-fi it sounds like a trash can. It was well put together. It was well mixed for that. But it still had that sort of edgy, little bit of punk rock sensibility to it. So it had sort of a hint of everything. And that to me is the best I could put on it. It had a hint of like everything. It had that mid-90s alt rock feel to it, but yet it had hints of like surf rockiness to the style, the composition style to it and stuff like that. And I actually enjoyed myself with it. The weird thing was that usually when I enjoy something new that I haven't listened to before, something jumps out at me and like catches me and like says like, this is why you're going to enjoy this. This had none of that. Like the guitars were simple, so it wasn't like there was like these sweeping guitar things that were gonna get me. There wasn't a dance groove to it. Bass, so like no horns, which is a thing that usually
there were zero horns. I will agree. Yes. No horns. Horn a tuba in town while they were recording.
It was horn free.
Right. It wasn't very horny, as we would say. Yes. So like there was nothing there that told me that like, hey, this is why you're gonna like it. But I ended up liking it. There's some nitpicky things I could go into. This is far from a perfect record. But it was good. Like I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Patrick, let's get down to some tracks. What would be some of the key tracks to zero in on this album?
I'm not going to do the record breakers thing. I'm going to go to the second track, Fine Without You. That song to me it works on a lot of levels. It's really, really like fun sounding, but the lyrics are very not like, it's not okay. And that's one of my favorite things about this record is there's a lot of happy sounding songs about not particularly happy topics. I feel like that kind of works with them. Heaven Sent, that one's sort of probably the happy song. But it's what they do. It's kind of a dead simple chord progression. The guitar player Bob spends all of his time adding texture with crazy reverbed out modulated guitar, and you usually get a really good hook that you want to sing along with. And it works. It's got good energy. It's, that they've managed to, be a duo and basically add just enough other musicians to be a rock band, but without like losing kind of the two of them playing off of each other. And then the title track, California Nights, just kind of the whole vibe. They have more than once, like the name Best Coast is literally Bethany, the lead singer from Southern California, moved to New York and basically came home, like moved to New York, quit music, came home and got right back into it. In part because like she just loves where she's from, and it's a song about your hometown. And I don't think I'll probably ever live in California, but I can see the appeal. Like, and that song sort of has that vibe to it.
Mm-hmm. The We Like California, very opposite of the Jonathan Colton song I Hate California. And I don't know why I brought that up. I'm running on fumes.
Truth is why I brought that up.
That being said, Brett, what would be some of the key tracks that caught your attention?
Now, I've seen some parts of California that you don't think is parts of California. I saw Bush Cheney signs in people's yards in the California house. But no,
I ate at Buck Owens' place in Bakersfield, and let me tell you, Bakersfield's a shithole.
When you're just on the other side of the Sierras of Reno, you see some fucking shit. Yes. But yeah, I gotta go with mostly early in this album. Things sort of had a feel, sort of had a groove to them. Again, this album was very, very well produced. If you go and look at the production staff involved in this music and the other people who they've put their hands on, you can tell that this was a very, very well crafted album. Fine Without You, it's got a great beat and the vocals are layered really well. It's even got some oohs if you listen for it. But within all of that crazy mess of sound, everything in this album sort of has that wall of echo. So like there's no point where the sound wave stops. There's no quiet. There's always a back sound reflection or like some sort of ambient sort of hum from a keyboard. Heaven Sent, it's got that dash of punk rock it's the sound of punk rock about the time that I stopped wanting to have anything to do with punk rock, but it is definitely a sound that a lot of people like. And it differed a little bit from the rest of the album with speed and how the songwriting was structured. And so unaware. This is maybe a song about coming to grips with the depressing and realness of the brevity of life. Not exactly, but the layers were done really well, and it came across well overall. But lyrically overall, this doesn't seem like it's, somebody done me wrong album, or I ain't got no money, and I'm getting kicked out of my house, the album, or, I've got crippling depression, so I'm going to sing specifically about one specific thing. This is a very like broad brush album lyrically, and I really had trouble grasping a lot, but I think that has to do with how I am so far and out of the target audience of this album. But those are three songs that had like musically stood out as I was listening to it over and over and over while watching the Blue Jays win. Mm-hmm. So,
Drew, what would be some of the key tracks that caught your attention?
Well, I'm going to go with Fine Without You. There's a certain defiance and a certain snark to the attitude of this song that if you read the lyrics and try to put them in any sort of male vocally dominated band, it's not, to me, it doesn't sound the same. There's something about a female singing the song that gives it that snark and that like stiff upper lip. The way, yeah, I don't care. It is what it is. The way she delivers it in a way a lot of female singers in the indie scene deliver this with a much more snarky attitude. And that's not, to me, it's not sexist, because to me,
I'm just fucking with you, Drew. I'm just fucking with you.
No. I was actually just thinking about it, and to me, it's more me saying why male vocalists are actually, like, a male vocalist couldn't do a song with this topic in a snarky attitude. It would come off insincere. Simple punk drum beat, simple song, just sort of gets you into what this band really is. California Nights. I found myself really falling for this one for some reason. The trials and tribulations of a band, it can, like, especially one like this where they're quickly jumping from like obscurity to having like a major label say like, hey, we're going to give you a bunch of money. That's sort of crazy and can very easily send people for a loop. And the cool thing about it to me was the way the guitar plays into that and like loops back on itself and loops into what the lyrics are, is really cool and really goes into their composition work. And then I'm going to go into jealousy. When I said nitpicky, I meant nitpicky, and I'm going to nitpick on the song a little bit. When there is sha-na-na-nas, la-la-las, some doot-doot-doos, things of that nature.
And yes.
Some yes. Yeah. I feel like a band...
leave Karen O out of this.
Maps, yes. But I feel like a band puts those in when they know either their lyrics, maybe ones that vary a lot, so they're very hard to sing along with, even in the chorus, or they know they're small enough at the time that the people in the crowd are not going to be able to sing along to all of their songs because it's not going to be on repeat and they're not going to know every word. So you put in a couple of those so the crowd can like get with it and like get pumped up.
It also
this song is the
it fills in gaps that instruments that other members of the bands would be filling in that frequency as well.
Right. But it's to me,
it is something for the audience to grasp a hold of. Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
But here's the thing. I think you can agree with this with me, Brett. This song is depressing as shit, and I wouldn't want to sing along with it even if I knew every word. Like, God damn it. Like, I don't want to sing along with it. It's sad. I'm not happy about this song. Why am I going to la 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 and pump my fist and be all happy about it at the show? A
lot of baby making happening after that. That is very, very not good and regrettable, and it's like it ends with a handshake in the morning or something.
Yes.
Or somebody ducking out because it's like, oh shit, I'm here. Fuck.
Yes.
Like, I'm crying in the bathroom. But yeah.
Yeah. We go back around the horn to talk about final thoughts. Brett, what would you say would be a conclusive thought about the album?
Well, I'm not going to trade my work shirt and jeans for a crop top and high-waisted cutoff jorts, but I could find something to like about this album. I mean, it's certainly not going to be a classic. It's more of a time capsule. Like, you're going to think of this album more closely to like your Pac-Man fevers and your like, I don't know. It's not something that it's not going to be a touchstone of an era. It's not even like a touchstone of the genre, but I look forward to see what's coming in the future. It's, you know, I can't completely unzip and pee all over this album. It's just because it's not something I'm into. I can still find some gold in them there hills, but like, it's, even if I were somebody who mines them hills on a daily basis, this doesn't have the best veins inside of it.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what would be your conclusive thoughts on the album?
I, for the most part, when I see indie as a label nowadays, I stick away from it because it usually sounds like hot garbage. And by sound like hot garbage, I mean mixed, produced, and composed like hot garbage. This was not any of that. It was well thought out. It was well planned. It was well put together. I think it achieved the California Nights ideal very well. That sort of the the sort of, to me, it felt more like what a California night would be like for an emo punk kid in the 90s in California, which is fine. I get down in that from time to time. I've been known to like me some emo music from time to time.
Well, you're wrong.
But that's fine. I can be wrong.
That's
still
part of the
today.
part of the deal.
But the thing is, like,
kind of a deal.
I had it playing on my speaker. I had it playing on my speakers, and my sister from the other room says, "Are you listening to Paramore?" Right.
That's the most frightening comparison.
But to me,
female
like,
band full of some reverb.
to me, if to me, all she usually listens to, my sister, is the vocals of songs. So she was very obviously picking out on the vocals. And if you're a vocalist being compared to somebody like Haley, I don't think you're in bad company. I think that means you know what you're doing there. And overall, I guess that's what I could say about the band. They know what they're doing. They had bits and pieces that they wanted to take from other bands. Your mid 90s to late 90s pop punk, your kind of surfy guitar sounds, and they wanted to make it something a little bit different, add in a little bit of modern indie, and I think it's pretty all right. It's not going to be in regular rotation, but it's pretty good.
Pretty good. I will say, on my thought, I wouldn't, if the show was still around, I imagine this would end up being on the soundtrack to an episode of Gilmore Girls. It just kind of has that sound.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like something that should be in like a brooding coming of age, like semi-serious rom-com that in the 90s would star like Jennifer Love Hewitt and would have a lot lot of bad like fashion.
Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy had a lot of that.
Zach Braff
like smash cut.
Zach Braff probably has put this on a soundtrack to one of his movies.
Seth Green would have some weird goggles and a spiked haircut with like blonde tips.
Of course, I remember to say Zach Braff, so I don't have to bring out the Zach Graff enemy.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
The Zach Graff of
like the
Zach
Cartesian
Braff.
map.
Yes,
all
the one that I made
Braffs.
the one that I made for a previous episode of Record Breakers. Yeah, I'll bring him now. That being said, Patrick, what would be your conclusive thoughts on the album?
This album just makes me happy, I guess, is the best way to describe it. And that's sort of why I
wow.
We need to talk.
A real knee slapper of this album.
No, it is lyrically it is depressing, musically it is very happy, and I kind of like that weird tug of war. I mean, I'm the one who's brought up most of the emo records to this podcast. You know, that sort of vibe is something I really like and I've enjoyed for a long time. And you know, I think this is their third album, and all three of them are a little bit different. All three of them are, you know, have a little bit different of a vibe. I just feel like this is the most complete and most, you know, put together of them. But they're all good. I enjoy them all. I really enjoy it. I think the world needs more like there's something to be said for simple, basic, fun rock and roll. And I feel like that's what this hits for me.
No jump splits, no deal.
Have you ever heard of a band called Real Big Fish?
And I like Real Big Fish.
Yes.
There's
No jump
nothing wrong
splits.
with Real Big Fish.
No.
Hold on, Real Big Fish had
splits.
jump splits. I've seen Real Big Fish live
yeah,
like
yes.
8
Okay.
times. They have.
I
jump
have
splits.
not. I have not seen Real Big Fish do jump splits. Were they wearing Zubaz? That's
No Zubaz. Hawaiian
Okay.
shirt. No Zubaz.
Okay, it's
At
like
least
wearing
that is-
Zubaz on your chest. It's, you know,
Yes,
it's Hawaiian shirt.
more or less, yeah.
Zuba,
That
Hawaiian
could be a slogan
Zubaz
for like
Yes.
a
Yeah,
company that makes Hawaiian shirts. That's the tagline.
Oh my God, we need.
Zubaz.
Does someone make Hawaiian
Tom-
shirts with like Zubaz, like black and white line pattern? Because I would
It's-
wear that.
Well,
if I can
it's
get
speaking
the
about a
Magnum
Hawaiian
Sky
shirt.
print for Zubaz, I want to be able to get the tiger striped in a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah. Well, let's get Tommy Bahama on the phone. We'll figure this out.
Yo, Tom, what's up?
Hey, Mr. Bahama.
Yes. That being said, those are our complete thoughts on this album. We get to our main event of the evening. We talk about our haiku reviews. Some of these things up in poetic form. Let's start with Brett. What is your haiku?
Nothing done so bad with pretty female vocals, tight and well produced.
Drew, what is your haiku?
Something of the sound of the 90s mixed with bits of modern indie.
I'll throw mine in there. Surf rock done anew. A couple peeps doing tunes in their Cali style. Patrick, what is your haiku?
Right amount of pop, sad lyrics behind fun songs, soundtrack for summer.
Yes. All right. So that that concludes our thoughts on this album. You can check that out on the Spotify playlist. Play along at home if you haven't already. Go and listen on there. The next album on that playlist that you're gonna get next week's album. God, it's almost like I haven't done this in a while. Next week's album is gonna be provided by Brett. Brett, what do you got for us next week?
Drew, work with me. Drew, work with me here. Drew, are you down with the funk?
I'm down with the funk.
What are your thoughts on rhythm and blues? Or
I enjoy some rhythm and blues.
How about jamming?
I'd be jamming.
Well, there's how about albums that have 6 tracks? Are you into albums that have 6 tracks?
I grew up listening to punk, so I'm gonna go with yes on that one.
Okay. Well, there's this guy. He had a couple like co-musicians. One named Billy Cox, the other Buddy Miles. He stopped wanting to be in his band called The Experience. So he did an album called Band of Gypsies. This is Jimi Hendrix live album, Band of Gypsies. If there has never been a slow pitch that has been thrown over the mound, this is it.
Yes.
But this is something that after this weekend, hanging out with the musicians that I hung out with and watching the music I did, I was like, man, this is something that we always put on. And this is something I bet a lot of people that are younger than me have never heard.
Yes.
But yes, Band of Gypsies, 1970. Look for Jimi Hendrix, be all psychedelic painted on the cover.
Yeah. Go ahead and listen to that at home. It's going to be a fun discussion. That being said, you can find us all over the internet. Patrick is at The Swagger. Brett is at Hibbity-Bibbert, HIBBI2IBIBBARD. Drew is at XJuicer4X. I'm at PD Rave. The show's at 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4 Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. RecordBreakersPodcast@gmail.com is our email. Rebelli.net for this and other shows. Rebelli TV on YouTube. Share, like, subscribe. We're on iTunes, Stitcher. Look for us all over the place. Until next time. Hasta los huevos.
Okay. Blue Jays, let's play ball. Toodaloo.